President Joe Biden has once again deceived the American people. Over the weekend, President Biden decided to pardon his son, Hunter Biden, for all of his crimes dating back to January 1st of 2014. This was a direct contradiction of what the president had said he would do in the past. As he previously stated, I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him. In response to expected backlash, President Joe Biden stated, "Today, I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. I believe in the justice system, but I have wrestled with this. I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision." Wow. Raw politics has infected your justice department? That this is a miscarriage of justice? What about against Donald Trump? You didn't seem to care when raw politics was ruining his family and his life. You didn't seem to care about the miscarriage of justice. Oh, that's right, because behind the scenes, you and your White House lawyers were having secret meetings with every one of the lawyers that was going after Trump. I mean, I get that Hunter is your son, but as a senator, you signed bills into law against drugs and guns and business dealings. There are literally tens of thousands of U.S. prisoners sitting in jail today because of laws you created, laws you voted on, and laws you passed. But your son gets to have a free get out of jail card? This isn't fair. It's not fair at all. Now, according to a post by War Clandestine on Twitter, Biden chose to extend the pardon back to 2014 because this was the year Hunter Biden joined the board of Burisma Energy Holdings, a major Ukrainian natural gas company. In my opinion, President Biden just indirectly admitted his son Hunter is guilty of crimes dating back to 2014. After all, he was getting paid $1 million a year to provide access to his dad while his dad served as vice president of the United States. And don't forget, when Ukraine's prosecutor general started investigating Burisma Energy for corruption, President Biden flew over there and threatened to withhold $1 billion in funding to Ukraine unless he was fired. So while Biden labeled his decision as a way for a father to protect his son, he is likely protecting himself more than his son, Hunter Biden. But President Biden isn't the only one who's getting backlash for backtracking, as Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre also previously insisted on multiple occasions that Joe Biden would not pardon his son. However, she is now defending Biden from the same pulpit about his decision following the narrative that Hunter is a victim of political injustice. This dude smoked crack. I mean, I literally saw the Laptop from Hell book. It's full of hookers and drugs and all kinds of craziness, on top of him admitting to many of the crimes of taking in foreign money and illegally avoiding taxation. So how can you say that your son is a victim of political injustice? And the president took action, and he also believes that they tried to break his son in order to break him. That's what we saw, she said. Now that Biden ripped the Band-Aid off, this pardon appears to be the first of many pardons. During a recent press conference, Karine Jean-Pierre stated, "I'm not going to get ahead of the president on this, but you could expect more announcements, more pardons, more clemency at the end of this term. Now, as the internet goes back and forth on whether this was the right move, President Donald Trump chimed in by stating, "Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the J6 hostages who have now been imprisoned for years? Such an abuse and miscarriage of justice." Now, I completely agree with Trump here. Most of the January 6th protesters did not commit crimes on the same magnitude as Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden has been guilty of tax evasion, gun-related charges, and let's not forget about all of the garbage that was on his laptop. In fact, it was so damning and so disgusting that 51 former intelligence agents lied to the American people and said that it was a Russian disinformation campaign. Now, to be fair, Trump has hinted that he may have pardoned Hunter Biden himself for the sake of the country. However, his point still stands. If you're going to pardon your own son for all of the horrible crimes he committed, then you shouldn't show favoritism and you should forgive other people. But now, former presidential candidate Andrew Yang is saying, to make it fair, President Joe Biden should pardon Donald Trump and tell the country it's time to reunite and it's time to move forward. Now, let me know in the comments, do you think that will happen? I don't think it will. And in fact, I think Biden might pardon himself, and he's definitely going to pardon his brother, James Biden, who has also committed terrible, terrible crimes, financially benefiting by milking the American people. I'm seeing a lot of no's, 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 yes, no. Hunter is not a turkey. He should not have been pardoned. All right, now here is what Scott Jennings on CNN had to say about Biden pardoning his son Hunter. Scott Jennings took a blowtorch to Democrats over Joe Biden's pardon of Hunter Biden. "Never again do I want to hear Trump's a liar. You can't believe anything he says. Trump will abuse his power. Trump will only use the system to benefit himself, his family. Never, ever again." Why did Hunter need an 11-year blanket pardon going back to 2014 when Joe Biden was vice president? We are sitting on the biggest cover-up of who knows what crimes, and Joe Biden amazingly knows exactly, roughly, when it happened. Biden is leaving office, making the strongest possible case for Donald Trump. Our government, our justice system is of, by, and for the elites and nobody else. Biden ran to banish Trumpism from the political system, and he left Trumpism politically and now institutionally the strongest possible political force in this country. It is a complete and utter failure. Now, despite the current train wreck sitting in the Oval Office, there is still hope for a brighter future once Biden's term comes to an end. Now, I just want to pick up on what Scott Jennings of CNN said there. All of this garbage in order to get Trump, embarrass Trump, humiliate Trump, jail Trump, get Trump assassinated, it all backfired. And now the MAGA movement is the strongest political movement in American history. So it's all backfired. The pendulum has swung back the other way. And now it's time to go after these people for what they've done. Now, over the weekend, President Trump proudly announced Kash Patel will be the next director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Trump stated, "I am proud to announce that Kash Patel will serve as the next director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Kash is a brilliant lawyer, investigator, and America First fighter who has spent his career exposing corruption, defending justice, and protecting the American people. He played a pivotal role in uncovering the Russia hoax, standing as an advocate for truth, accountability, and the U.S. Constitution. Kash will work under our Attorney General, Pam Bondi, to bring back fidelity, bravery, and integrity to the FBI. Now, given his experience and the insights he shared in a recent interview with Sean Ryan, I have no doubt that Kash Patel will play a significant role in restoring the FBI to greatness. He's been on my show 4 or 5 times. I think he's a great guy and a great pick. He's extremely bold and brilliant. Now, during the interview, Sean Ryan asked Kash Patel about the intelligence officers who lied about Hunter Biden's laptop and what should be done. Patel stated, strip their security clearances forever. Remember, every one of these people is in the private sector, and they use that to get 7- and 8-figure paydays, to get big government contracts, to go for big defense contracts at intelligence firms. Now, I can't emphasize enough what an outstanding team Trump has assembled. Kash Patel has worked closely with Donald Trump during his first term, serving as in key roles such as Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense, Deputy Director of National Intelligence, and Senior Director for Counterterrorism at the National Security Council. He also testified under oath that Donald Trump did in fact order 10,000 National Guard for January 6th, and then the truth came out that that was true. But while the future looks bright, the present moment is still dim. Unfortunately, far-left Democrats are still doing whatever they can to ruin our country. For instance, New York City has just recently allocated another $220 million to rent the entire Roosevelt Hotel in Manhattan in order to house illegal immigrants. And because the hotel is owned by the government of Pakistan, this money won't do America any good. It's literally taxpayer money being used to buy off the Pakistani government and enrich the Pakistani government. During a press conference, Minister of Railways and Aviation, Khawaja Saad Rafiq, stated, the lease agreement is expected to generate revenue to the tune of around $220 million for the Pakistan government. A contract was signed for 1,250 rooms. The hotel will be returned to the government of Pakistan once the 3-year lease expires. I cannot believe that they are going to be using American taxpayer money in order to put up illegal immigrants in 1,250 rooms and enrich the Pakistani government with taxpayer money to the tune of $220 million. One user over on X stated, the U.S. is the largest contributor to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Pakistan owns the Roosevelt Hotel. IMF gives Pakistan money. New York pays the Pakistan government to house illegals in New York at the hotel. Long story short, Americans are paying Pakistan to house illegal immigrants in America. I swear, I feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone episode where everything is backwards from where it used to be. Hopefully Donald Trump and his team can get in and put an end to all of this nonsense. Now, apparently all of our money is just being used to make every country rich but our own. I'm sick and tired of America Last policies. Why can't we pay U.S. real estate owners to house illegal immigrants? And why are we even housing illegal immigrants? The U.S. is billions of dollars in debt, actually trillions of dollars in debt. And what do? They say, oh yeah, let's take some of that hard-earned American taxpayer money and let's give it away to foreign nations. Sheesh. All right, now during a recent episode of the Joe Rogan podcast, Rogan seemed to admit that he was misled by the mainstream media about Donald Trump before he had a chance to meet him. Rogan stated, what you're seeing with Trump regardless of his flaws, is a massive, concentrated psyop. They've distorted who he is to the point where most people think that way. Most people think that way. They've had a narrative. They had control of the media up until now. The election was the first time they didn't really have control of the media anymore. Now, thankfully, Rogan was able to see the truth before the presidential election, as his endorsement surely helped Donald Trump win a landslide victory. That interview got over 41 million views on YouTube, tens of millions more on X, and tens of millions more over on Spotify. So thank goodness for Joe Rogan, right? Let me know over in the comments, do you think that Joe Rogan and his podcast had a huge influence in helping Donald Trump win the election? Let me know your thoughts, please. All right. Let's keep going here. There's lots going on. Okay. Did you guys know that a 2-year investigation about COVID was just finished over in the House of Representatives? Let me just give you the cliff notes of what they found. According to them, the NIH funded gain of function with U.S. taxpayer dollars over in Wuhan, China. The Constitution can't be suspended in times of crisis. COVID emerged from a lab leak, and it's no longer a conspiracy theory. EcoHealth and Dr. Peter Daszak should never again receive funding from taxpayer money. Public health officials have lost the trust of the American people. Trump's Operation Warp Speed was a massive success. The COVID response was a rampant waste of taxpayer money. And never again should the United States do a lockdown. The lockdown had horrific consequences. Now, there's a lot more to that report, but I wanted to just give you guys the Cliff Notes version of what they found. Now, I believe that there's a lot more to this COVID, and I believe some of the people on the committee to investigate COVID are likely covering their own tracks. So I don't believe we're ever going to get the full truth. Just like when the cigarette companies were put in charge of doing their own research on whether cigarettes caused cancer. And wouldn't you know it? Their answer was no, cigarettes don't cause cancer. But now we know that they absolutely do cause cancer. That's exactly what happened. A lot of these members of Congress are guilty of telling us to shut up, sit down, stay away from family, put a mask on, go without a job, burn through your family's life saving in order to stay alive. And oh yeah, don't use medication that's now been proven to help COVID better than any of the bull crap from Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. But what do I know? I'm just a guy here on the internet. All right, now back to the Hunter Biden pardon story. Investigative journalist Laura Loomer went on a rant today against Republicans, and I'm so glad she did because she summed up many of my own feelings about the Republican Party, the treatment of Donald J. Trump, and the weakness of GOP leaders. Let me read this, but I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Do you agree or disagree with Laura Loomer? Here's what she wrote. Obviously, Joe Biden is a liar and his son is a criminal. But you know who we should be most angry at over the pardon of Hunter Biden, if we are looking at this objectively and without emotion? The House Republicans, people specifically like Jim Jordan, James Comer, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, who all lied over and over again to the American people for years and said Joe Biden and his family would be investigated and held accountable. No one has been held accountable. Republicans failed to serve the public and take action for 4 years. Now Joe Biden did what Joe was going to do all along. House GOP just gave him time to do it on his own terms by gaslighting the public with fake promises of investigations and stupid tweets about accountability is coming. It's simple yet embarrassing for the GOP. Laura Loomer continued, not a single investigation took place. The House Republicans just lied on X for 4 years and gaslit the American people so they could raise money. Then they went on Fox News to pretend like they were holding the Biden family accountable. These Republicans need to be held accountable for helping Joe Biden and his family cover up their criminal syndicate by stalling congressional investigations and subpoenas. I am calling for an investigation into the House GOP for their cover-up of the Biden crime family. Every GOP rep who made a promise to investigate Biden and his son and never followed up needs to be investigated. Were they bribed? Were they paid off? Why did they not do a single thing that could have stopped this in the last 4 years? Republicans need to be held accountable for this massive failure. Joe Biden just pardoned his son for 10 years, which includes crimes Biden himself is implicated in. This means there will be zero accountability for Joe Biden and his family during the next term, and you can thank the House GOP for making that happen. The Republican Party lied to the American people and never even attempted to hold the Biden crime family accountable. Shame on the Republican Party. A lot of Republican members of Congress need to be investigated for this. All right, now, it's a bit of a rant, but I think she's onto something. These people for 4 years told us that they were going to get to the bottom of these crimes. For 4 years, they told us that they were going to hold Biden accountable, that once they found that evidence, they were going to impeach him. When they finally found the evidence, what did they do? They released a 180-page report and then said, well, Biden is stepping down, so at this point, it would not be worth wasting American taxpayer money. He's going to step down. This is what makes me so mad about the Republican Party. I like Donald Trump, but most of the Republican Party is crap. They're total crap. And they lied to us over and over again. Anyway, I'm just disappointed. I love Republican voters, conservative voters, libertarian voters, but I think she's right. Shame on the Republican Party that raised money off of getting Biden and then did nothing. This is just as bad as Judge Juan Merchan's daughter raising money off of Donald Trump's legal problems, only to use that money to help get Democrats into office. It's just a shame. It's an absolute shame. All right, now, lastly, Tucker Carlson went on a major rant as well about the Biden White House desiring World War III before Donald Trump takes office, and says the devil himself is running the White House through Joe Biden. All right, here's what he said in his own words. Tucker Carlson warns that permanent Washington has made a calculated decision that plunging the world into World War III is their last chance to stop Trump from exposing their crimes. These people, out of options, have decided the only way to stop Trump and having their crimes revealed is a world war, Tucker Carlson concluded. Carlson explained that the permanent Washington doesn't care about domestic policy or making the country better. Instead, they only care about foreign policy because killing people makes them feel like God. And that's where the money is. He said, I am deeply concerned that this group, which includes nearly everyone in D.C. from both parties, wants Trump to take the country to war, either against Russia or far more likely Iran. Tucker Carlson warned, emphasizing a war with Iran is a world war. Carlson explained that Iran is now aligned with some of the world's largest economies and most powerful militaries, As such, a war with Iran means a war in effect or by proxy with Russia, China, Turkey, and much of the rest of the world. So that is a world war. Meanwhile, despite a mandate from the American people to end the war in Ukraine, the current regime is now considering the unthinkable, arming Ukraine with nuclear weapons. When asked who is truly running the country and steering America towards a world war, Tucker Carlson delivered a stunning response. Carlson said once he believed it was Secretary of State Tony Blinken was the one controlling the White House. However, after observing a series of aggressive and evil actions, such as arming Ukraine with long-range missiles and anti-personnel mines, he has concluded that Satan himself must be running the White House through Joseph Robinette Biden. All right, now that's a bit hyperbole, right? I don't know. Let me know. Do you think the devil is running the White House through Joe Biden? I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that Washington, D.C. is full of liars. They are full of people who their 8-figure income depends on America being at war. They want us in war. This is what the swamp does best. They get us into hot war conflict where they can then transfer not hundreds of millions, not billions, but trillions of dollars away from the American people. They can make us poorer and more dependent on the government. They can embarrass and shame the American people by having the rest of the world hate us for the wars that we start around the globe. It really, really is sad. All right. You guys, I appreciate you joining me for this longer broadcast. There was a lot to share with you today. There's a lot going on. I still have a lot of hope that things are going to get better. I'm excited about Trump. I'm excited about his dream team. That does not mean that he won't have an uphill presidency. He absolutely will. But let's hope and pray that his presidency does not start with World War III. Let's hope that he can get his top cabinet members appointed so that they can go to work. And of course, Joe Biden was going to pardon Hunter Biden, but we'll see who gets the laugh last. There may be things that can be done to make Hunter Biden testify against his dad. And, you know, once a criminal, always a criminal. So maybe they will do something that gets them into trouble. It's really disheartening to see that we were told there would be accountability. And once again, there's no accountability. But all we can do is continue to put in good leaders and hope and pray for our own country. All right. I love you guys. There's over 5,000 of you right now. If you would give this video a like, that would really help me. So I would really appreciate that. Also, hit that subscribe button. We're almost to 1.9 million amazing truth seekers. Hey, I love you guys. Have a great night, and I will see you on the next video.